The sky above Tertius 9 burned red with fire and smoke. Commander Velthar stood on the broken remains of what used to be a defense tower. His three eyes watched the horizon where the wrecks were gathering again. They would attack soon. They always attacked. "Sir, we lost another outpost," his communications officer said. The young soldier's voice shook with fear. 23 more dead. We cannot hold them much longer. Velthar's clawed hand tightened around his weapon. For 6 months, the Coalition had been fighting the wrecks on this cursed planet. For 6 months, they had been losing. The insect creatures were too strong, too fast, and too many. They did not feel fear. They did not retreat. They just kept coming wave after wave until nothing remained. "How many soldiers do we have left?" Velthar asked, though he already knew the answer would hurt. "Less than 3,000, sir, and many are wounded." 3,000. They had started with 15,000. The wrecks had eaten through their forces like acid through metal. The planet itself was killing them too. Tertius 9 was not made for most Coalition species. The air burned their lungs even through filters. The heat made their armor feel like ovens. Strange storms came without warning, bringing rain that could burn through skin. At night, the temperature dropped so fast that soldiers died in their sleep. The wrecks loved it here. This hell was their home. Velthar walked back to the command center, a half-destroyed building that leaked when it rained. Inside, other commanders waited. They all looked tired. They all looked like they had already accepted death. "We need to call the council," Velthar said. "We need reinforcements or we need to evacuate." "The council will not send more troops," Commander Etha said. She was from a water world and could barely breathe here even with full life support. "They have already said Tertius 9 is too expensive to save." "Then we evacuate," another officer said. "And give the wrecks another planet?" Velthar's voice rose. "Let them grow stronger? How many worlds will we surrender before we fight?" Silence filled the room. Everyone knew the answer. If the wrecks took Tertius 9, they would keep expanding. More colonies would fall. More species would die. "There might be one option," Etha said quietly. She pulled up a file on the holographic display. "The Council has received contact from a new species. They call themselves humans, from a planet called Earth. New species." Velthar moved closer to look at the display. "We need warriors, not untested aliens. They are offering military services, mercenaries. They claim to have experience in difficult combat situations. Everyone claims that until they face the wrecks," Velthar said bitterly. "Sir, look at this." Etha expanded the file. "Their planet is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. It is under quarantine. The science teams who discovered Earth recommended no contact." Velthar stared at the classification. Class 12. He had never heard of anything above Class 8. Why such a high rating? "The planet is extremely hostile. Constant natural disasters, dangerous wildlife, extreme weather, disease. The report says it is remarkable that intelligent life evolved there at all." Etha paused. "But these humans survived it. They thrived in it. How much do they want?" Velthar asked. "They are not asking for credits. They want technology exchange and a seat in the Coalition Council if they succeed." "If they succeed." Velthar laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Send the call. What do we have to lose? We are already dead." The message went out that night. 3 days later, they received a response. It was a voice transmission, translated into Galactic Common. "This is Colonel Jinwoo of the Earth Defense Force. We accept your contract. Send us the coordinates. We will handle it." The confidence in the human's voice surprised Velthar. Either this Jinwoo was a fool, or he knew something about war that the Coalition had forgotten. "How many troops will you send?" Velthar asked during the next communication. 200. 200? Velthar could not believe it. "We are facing 100,000 wrecks. You need armies, not a small squad. 200 is what we are sending," Jinwoo replied calmly. "It will be enough." The transmission ended. Velthar wanted to scream. 200 soldiers? Against the wrecks? It was suicide. He had called for help and received a bad joke instead. But orders came from the Coalition Council. The humans were coming. Velthar was to provide them with full support and observe their performance. If they failed, evacuation would begin immediately. "At least we tried," Etha said, trying to sound hopeful. Velthar said nothing. He had seen too much death to have hope anymore. The Coalition sent information about Tertius 9 to the humans. Environmental data, enemy numbers, tactical situations, everything. The humans acknowledged receipt but asked no questions. That worried Velthar more than anything. Good soldiers asked questions. Fools thought they knew everything. 5 days later, sensors detected ships entering orbit. 3 human vessels smaller than Coalition cruisers but built with strange angular designs. They did not request landing coordinates. They did not wait for clearance. They just came down, landing right in the middle of the combat zone as if they owned it. Velthar went to meet them, taking a full security team. He did not know what to expect. Would these humans be giants? Would they have advanced armor? Powerful weapons? The landing ramps lowered. Smoke and steam hissed out, and then the humans walked out. Velthar stared. These were the great warriors from the Deathworld? They looked old. Most of them had gray in their hair. Their faces had lines and scars. They wore simple armor, nothing like the heavy protective suits Coalition soldiers needed. They carried basic weapons. One human stepped forward. He was tall, with short gray-black hair and hard eyes. "Colonel Jinwoo," he said. "Are you Commander Velthar?" "I am." Velthar tried to hide his disappointment. "Colonel, I must ask. These soldiers, they seem experienced." "They are," Jinwoo said. "How experienced?" "The youngest has 15 years of combat service. The oldest has 35. Jinwoo smiled slightly. "You asked for warriors. We sent you veterans." Velthar looked at the 200 humans standing in formation. They did not look worried about the toxic air or the brutal heat. They stood relaxed, confident, as if they were on a pleasant vacation instead of a death world. "Colonel," Velthar said carefully, "your people are not wearing full environmental suits. Tertius 9 will kill you without proper protection." Jinwoo looked around at the red sky, the smoking battlefield, the dead vegetation. He breathed in deeply through his basic face filter. "Commander," he said, "this place is not so bad. We have trained in worse." Velthar did not know if he should laugh or cry. These humans were either insane or they truly were from a planet that made Tertius 9 look comfortable. He would find out soon enough. The Vreks were coming again. They always came, and this time the old soldiers from Earth would be waiting. Velthar watched the humans set up their camp with growing confusion. They worked fast, building defensive positions and equipment stations in less than 2 hours. What confused him was how little protection they used. A human female walked past him carrying 3 heavy supply crates stacked on top of each other. She moved easily as if the weight meant nothing. Velthar knew those crates. Each one required 2 Coalition soldiers to carry together. "Commander, you should see this," Etha called from the medical station. She sounded worried. Velthar found her with a young Coalition medic named Yuna. The small Lythran female was staring at her scanner with wide eyes. "Sir, I have been scanning the humans," Yuna said. Her voice trembled. "The readings, they cannot be correct. I have checked my equipment 3 times. What did you find?" Velthar asked. Yuna pulled up the biological scan on her display. "Their bodies. Sir, they are not normal. Look at this." She pointed to the scan. "They have redundant organs. 2 kidneys, 2 lungs that work independently. Their hearts pump blood in a way I have never seen. If one organ fails, others compensate. Backup systems," Velthar said. "Many species have that. Not like this, sir. And look at their blood." Yuna expanded another section. "It carries oxygen with incredible efficiency. They can function in atmospheres from 0.3 to 3.0 standard pressure. Their bodies adapt within minutes." Velthar felt cold despite the heat. "That is impossible. I thought so too. But all 200 humans show the same readings." Yuna looked frightened. "Sir, their bones are incredibly dense. Their muscles are packed with fast-twitch fibers. Their healing factor is—" She paused. "I took a sample from one of them. A small cut. It stopped bleeding in seconds. The tissue was already regenerating. How long before full heal? For a cut that would take us 3 days? They will heal in hours." Velthar looked out at the humans walking around without heavy suits. "What about the atmosphere? Why are they not dying?" "Their bodies filter toxins naturally. Their livers and kidneys are processing the sulfur compounds and radiation. It is harming them, yes, but very slowly. They can survive here for weeks before needing medical treatment." "Weeks?" Velthar felt his stomach twist. Coalition soldiers died in hours without proper suits. What kind of evolution creates this? "The kind that happens on a planet trying to kill everything that lives on it," said a voice behind them. They turned. A human male stood there, younger than most, maybe in his 30s. He wore the insignia of a corporal. Corporal Taeyang, the human said, introducing himself. I could not help but overhear. You have questions about human biology? Your pardon, Velthar said. We did not mean to be rude. No offense taken. Taeyang smiled. Most species react this way when they scan us. Earth is rated Class 12 for a reason. What does that mean? Yuna asked. What makes your world so dangerous? Taeyang sat down on a supply crate. Where should I start? The weather? Earth has storms that can destroy cities, tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis. We have areas so hot they can cook you alive, and areas so cold that exposed skin freezes in minutes. But you have safe zones, yes? Etha asked. Safe? Taeyang laughed. No place on Earth is truly safe. We have volcanoes that erupt without warning, earthquakes that split the ground open. We have diseases that have killed millions, predators that hunt us, poisonous plants and animals everywhere. Then how do you survive? Velthar demanded. We adapt. We evolve to handle stress. Our bodies learn to fight back against everything trying to kill us. Taeyang gestured to himself. This is not special engineering or genetic modification. Every human is born like this. We have to be. Otherwise, Earth would have killed us long ago. But you are an advanced civilization now, Etha said. Surely you have made your world safer. We have cities, yes, technology, medicine, but Earth is still Earth. Every year, natural disasters kill thousands. We lose people to extreme weather, to wildlife, to disease. We have learned to live with death walking beside us every day. Velthar felt something shift in his understanding. These humans were not warriors despite their world. They were warriors because of it. Earth had forged them in fire and pain and death, generation after generation, until only the strongest survived. Colonel Jinwoo said this place is not bad. Velthar said slowly. He meant it. He did, Taeyang confirmed. Tertius 9 is harsh, but Earth has places worse than this. We train in deserts hotter than this planet. We train in jungles more toxic than this air. We train in mountains where the cold will kill you in minutes. He stood up. This place? For us, this is uncomfortable, but we have faced worse since we were children. A siren suddenly blared. The Vreks were approaching. Velthar saw them on the scanner, a large scout group, maybe 500 strong. All soldiers to positions. Velthar shouted. Coalition troops rushed to their defensive posts, checking their heavy weapons and shields. The humans moved too, but differently. They did not rush. They walked calmly to their positions, checking their weapons with practiced ease. Velthar saw Colonel Jinwoo standing on the wall looking out at the approaching Vreks without his helmet on. Colonel, Velthar called out. You need protection. Jinwoo glanced at him. I want to see them clearly. Get a feel for how they move. They will be here in 5 minutes. Then I have 4 minutes to observe. Jinwoo raised a scanner to his eyes. Interesting. They move like ants. Colony behavior. That means a queen somewhere directing them. We know this already, Velthar said, frustrated. Please take cover. Jinwoo finally put his helmet on, but he did not leave the wall. He spoke into his communicator. All units, targets approaching. Semi-bipedal insectoids, approximately 2 meters tall. Armor plating on thorax and head. Weapons appear to be natural. Claws and mandibles plus acid spray. Aim for joints and eyes. Fire on my command. Velthar watched the Vreks get closer. His heart was racing. The coalition soldiers were nervous, shifting in their positions. Some were shaking, the humans were still, calm, waiting. 200 meters, Jinwoo said quietly. Hold! The Vreks charged, screeching their horrible battle cry. 100 meters. Hold! Velthar wanted to scream at them to fire. Why were they waiting? 50 meters. Jinwoo raised his hand. Fire. The humans opened fire as one. Their weapons lit up the battlefield. The Vreks in front fell, cut down by precise shots, but more came behind them, climbing over their dead. Sergeant Minji, take squad 2 and flank left, Jinwoo ordered. Taeyang, flank right. Make them split their attention. A human female, Minji, moved with her squad to the left side. They ran through terrain that coalition soldiers avoided. Rocky ground covered in thorny plants that leaked toxic sap. The humans did not slow down. They jumped over obstacles, moved through the dangerous plants, and set up a new firing position in seconds. The Vreks turned to face this new threat. But then Taeyang's squad opened fire from the right. The Vreks were caught in a crossfire. Forward teams, push them back, Jinwoo commanded. Do not let them regroup. The humans advanced. They walked into the battle instead of hiding behind walls. Velthar watched in shock as they moved through Vrek's acid spray that would dissolve Coalition armor. The acid hit their suits, but they kept moving, firing, advancing. A human soldier, the old one Velthar had noticed before, carried a massive weapon that should need a vehicle mount. He fired it from his shoulder, laughing as the recoil would have broken a Coalition soldier's arm. "That is Huan," Taeyang said from beside Velthar. 52 years old. Been fighting since he was 17. He says this is the most fun he has had in years. Fun? Velthar could not comprehend it. "This is war." "For humans, war and survival are the same thing," Taeyang said. "We have been doing both for so long we do not know the difference anymore." The battle lasted 20 minutes. When it ended, all 500 Vreks were dead. The humans had lost no one. A few were injured. Acid burns, cuts from Vrek's claws, but they were already being treated by their medics. Velthar saw one medic, a young woman named Sora, treating a soldier who had a deep cut across his arm. She worked calmly, efficiently, while the soldier joked with his friends. "Does it not hurt?" Velthar asked the wounded soldier. The man looked at his injury. "Oh yeah, it hurts. But I have had worse. This will heal in a day or two." Velthar looked at Yuna. The young medic's eyes were wide with disbelief. "Sir," she whispered, "that cut should take weeks to heal. He is acting like it is nothing. Because for them, it is nothing," Velthar said quietly. He watched the humans clean their weapons and prepare for the next fight. They were not celebrating their victory. They were not afraid of the next battle. They were simply ready, and Velthar realized something that chilled him to his core. These old soldiers from Earth were not here to help the Coalition survive. They were here to teach the Vreks what real predators looked like. The attack came 3 nights later. Velthar was woken by alarms screaming through the base. He grabbed his weapon and rushed to the command center. "Report," he shouted. "Major Vrek's assault, sir." The communications officer yelled. "We count at least 10,000 coming from 3 directions. They are trying to surround us." Velthar felt his blood turn cold. 10,000. This was not a probe or a raid. This was an extermination attack. The Vreks wanted to end this tonight. "All Coalition forces fall back to secondary defensive positions," Velthar ordered. It was standard tactics: give ground, make the enemy stretch their lines, then counterattack. It had never worked against the Vreks, but it was all they had. "Sir, the humans are not falling back," Etha reported. "Colonel Jinwoo has rejected the retreat order." "What?" Velthar pulled up the tactical display. The human positions were marked in blue. They were moving forward toward the Vreks. "Get me Jinwoo now." The colonel's face appeared on the screen. Behind him, Velthar could see humans gearing up for battle, checking weapons, loading ammunition. "Colonel, you must retreat to the secondary line," Velthar said urgently. "You are going to be overrun." "No retreat," Jinwoo said calmly. "We are advancing. That is suicide. There are 10,000 of them." "I can count, Commander." Jinwoo smiled slightly. "But they are coming to us through 3 valleys. That means their numbers do not matter. In narrow terrain, a small force can hold against a large one. Basic tactics. The Vreks will go around the valleys." "No, they will not. The ground around the valleys is unstable. Too dangerous even for them." Jinwoo gestured to someone off-screen. "Sergeant Minji is taking her squad through the eastern ridge. That ground is deadly. High temperatures, toxic vents, unstable rocks. The Vreks will never expect us there. Your soldiers cannot survive in that area," Velthar protested. "Our scanners show temperatures over 60 degrees and the air is 90% poison." 60 degrees? Jinwoo laughed. "Minji trained in the Sahara Desert. She is used to 50-degree heat, and our filters can handle the air for several hours." He leaned closer to the camera. "Commander, with respect, you think like prey. You run from danger. We run toward it. That is the difference." The transmission ended. Velthar stared at the blank screen. Etha touched his shoulder gently. "Sir, should we send support?" "No," Velthar said quietly. "Let us see what they do. Maybe they will surprise us." The Coalition forces set up defensive positions and waited. Velthar watched the tactical display, tracking the human movements. They were splitting into smaller groups, spreading across impossible terrain. Minji's squad disappeared into the eastern ridge, an area so dangerous that even drones had trouble functioning there. Lieutenant Daehyun took 40 soldiers straight into the center valley, directly toward the largest Vreks group. Private Hyun, the old soldier, set up heavy weapons on high ground that should have required climbing equipment to reach. They are insane, Etha whispered. Or brilliant, Velthar replied. We will know soon. The Vrex hit the center valley first. Daehyun's team opened fire, their weapons creating a wall of death. The Vrex charged forward, climbing over their dead, driven by their hive instinct to destroy the enemy. But the valley narrowed. The Vrex could not spread out. They pushed against each other, creating a massive target. Daehyun's soldiers fired with machine precision, never missing, never wasting ammunition. They are holding, a coalition officer said in disbelief. 40 soldiers against 4,000, and they are holding. On the eastern front, Minji emerged from the toxic ridge behind the Vrex lines. Her squad was covered in dust and chemical burns, but they were all alive. They set up ambush positions and opened fire, catching the Vrex from behind. The Vrex tried to turn to face this new threat. But that exposed them to Daehyun's team. Caught between two fires, the Vrex started to panic. Yun's heavy weapons began firing from the high ground. Each shot killed multiple Vrex, the explosive rounds tearing through their armor. The old soldier worked his weapons like a musician playing an instrument, each shot perfectly timed. How long have they been fighting? Velthar asked. 3 hours, sir. 3 hours of constant battle. Coalition soldiers needed breaks every 30 minutes. They needed to rotate to rest to recover. The humans just kept fighting. A human medic, Sora, was working near the front lines. Velthar watched on the camera feeds as she treated wounded soldiers, while bullets flew past her head. She did not flinch. She did not hide. She just worked, her hands steady, her focus absolute. That medic is insane, Etha said. She should be in the rear, not in the battle. I do not think humans see a difference, Velthar replied. Hour 5. The coalition soldiers were exhausted from just watching. The humans continued fighting. They rotated positions, changed tactics, adapted to every Vrex attack. When ammunition ran low in one area, they redistributed from others. When weapons overheated, they switched to backup weapons without missing a beat. Corporal Taeyang's scout team moved through the battlefield like ghosts, appearing to attack and then vanishing before the Vrex could respond. They used the darkness, the smoke, the terrain itself as weapons. Hour 8. Velthar could not believe what he was seeing. The humans had been in continuous combat for 8 hours. They should be dead from exhaustion. They should be making mistakes. They should be breaking, but they were not. If anything, they were getting more efficient. They had learned the Vrex patterns, understood their weaknesses, adapted their tactics. The humans were not just fighting, they were hunting. Sir, the Vrex are retreating, the communications officer said, his voice full of shock. The western and eastern groups are pulling back. Velthar zoomed in on the tactical display. It was true. The Vrex were running. For the first time since the war began, the Vrex were running away. Pursue them. Jinwoo's voice came over the coalition frequency. Do not let them regroup. The humans pressed forward. They moved through the darkness like demons chasing the fleeing Vrex. Every time the insects tried to make a stand, the humans surrounded them, cut them off, destroyed them. Hour 12. The Vrex were gone. The battlefield was littered with their bodies. 10,000 had attacked, maybe 1,000 escaped. The humans began establishing secure positions, setting up a perimeter. They worked efficiently, their movements practiced. Only when the area was secure did they finally stop for rest. Velthar and Etha went out to the battlefield. They found Jinwoo standing on a hill looking at the sunrise. His armor was scorched and dented. Blood, both red and green, covered his suit. But he stood straight, alert. Colonel, Velthar said, 12 hours. Your soldiers fought for 12 hours without rest. 14, actually, Jinwoo corrected. We had a few skirmishes before the main battle. He looked at Velthar. Is that unusual for your people? We cannot fight that long. Physically impossible. Ah, Jinwoo nodded. You are not persistence hunters. What does that mean? Jinwoo pointed to the distant hills where the Vrex had fled. On Earth, before we had weapons, we hunted by chasing animals. We would track prey for days, Commander. We would run and walk and run again until the animal was too exhausted to continue. Then we would kill it. That sounds cruel, Etha said quietly. It is efficient, Jinwoo replied. Our bodies evolved for it. We can sweat to cool down so we do not overheat. We can regulate our breathing to run for hours. We can push through pain and exhaustion because our ancestors who could not do these things died without food. He smiled. 12 hours of fighting? That is nothing. We have trained for much worse. Velthar watched coalition medics treating the wounded humans. Most injuries were minor, cuts, burns, bruises. Nothing serious. They healed so fast it seemed like magic. How many did you lose? Velthar asked, afraid of the answer. 0 fatalities, Jinwoo reported. 15 injuries, all minor. They will be back in action tomorrow. 0? Velthar felt dizzy. Against 10,000 Vurex, you lost no one? We had the advantage of terrain and tactics and... Jinwoo paused. We have been fighting things that want to kill us our entire lives. The Vrex are dangerous, but they are not the most dangerous thing we have faced on... What is? Etha asked. Earth, Jinwoo said simply. Earth is always the most dangerous thing. Velthar looked at the human soldiers. Some were eating, some were cleaning weapons, some were sleeping where they sat. So exhausted they could not move to proper beds. But even sleeping, they looked ready to wake and fight at any moment. These were not normal soldiers. These were survivors of a planet that spent millions of years trying to kill them. They were the descendants of hunters who chased prey until it died of exhaustion. They were warriors forged in the fires of the cruelest world in the known galaxy. And they had just taught the Vrex their first lesson in fear. Colonel, Velthar said, thank you. You saved us tonight. Tonight was just practice, Jinwoo replied. The real battle is still coming. The Vrex will not give up. They will attack again with more numbers. And you will be ready? Jinwoo looked at him with eyes that had seen too much death to fear it anymore. Commander, we are always ready. That is what Earth taught us. As the sun rose over Tertius 9, Velthar understood something that would change his view of war forever. The Coalition had been losing because they fought to survive. The humans fought because survival was all they had ever known. Velthar could not sleep. He sat in the command center long after the battle ended, reviewing the combat footage again and again. Every time he watched it, he found something new that amazed or terrified him. The way the humans moved. The way they fought. The way they simply refused to break no matter what the Vrex did to them. Yuna entered the command center carrying a data pad. The young medic looked exhausted. Commander, I have finished my analysis of the human soldiers. Show me. Yuna pulled up charts and graphs on the main display. After the battle, I scanned the humans again. Their bodies had gone through incredible stress. Heart rates that should have been fatal. Muscle damage that should have crippled them. Chemical imbalances from 12 hours of combat. But they survived, Velthar said, more than survived. Their bodies were already healing. Already recovering. Yuna highlighted a section. I found high levels of a chemical they call adrenaline. It is produced naturally by their bodies during stress. It increases strength, reduces pain, sharpens focus. It is like a combat drug, but it is natural. A species that drugs itself for battle, Etha said from the doorway. How efficient. It gets stranger, Yuna continued. I spoke with their medic, Sora. She explained that humans have something called a fight-or-flight response. When they face danger, their bodies automatically prepare for combat. Blood flow increases. Pupils dilate. Time perception changes. They become essentially combat machines without even trying. Velthar leaned back in his chair. What kind of evolution creates this? The kind where everything is trying to kill you, said a voice. Corporal Taiyang stood in the doorway. I apologize for interrupting. I heard you had questions about human biology and history. Please sit, Velthar gestured. I am trying to understand your species. Taiyang sat down, wincing slightly. He had a bandage on his arm from the battle. What do you want to know? Everything. Your planet. Your history. How you became... Velthar struggled for words. How you became what you are. Taiyang was quiet for a moment, thinking. Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Life began almost 4 billion years ago, but Earth has tried to destroy that life many times. He pulled up an image on his data pad. This is Earth now. Beautiful, yes? Blue water, green land, white clouds. But it has not always been beautiful. The image changed. 700 million years ago, Earth was completely frozen. We call it Snowball Earth. Almost all life died. Another image. 400 million years ago, most life lived in the oceans. Then something happened. Maybe a meteor. Maybe volcanoes. 90% of all species died. More images. Burning skies. Frozen wastelands. Oceans turning to acid. Earth has had 5 major extinction events, Taiyang explained. 5 times when most life on the planet died. And countless smaller disasters. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions. Meteor impacts, plague, disease, drought, flood. But life survived, Yuna said softly. Life adapted, Taeyang corrected. The weak died. The strong changed. That is evolution. Not survival of the fittest, but survival of those who can adapt fastest. He showed another image, a primitive human walking across a grassland. Our ancestors appeared about 300,000 years ago. We were not strong, not fast. We did not have claws or armor or poison. We were prey. Then how did you survive? Etha asked. We became persistence hunters. We developed sweat glands to cool our bodies. We developed long legs for running. We learned to track prey for days. We would chase animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. Then we would kill them and eat them. Taeyang pulled up more images. But we were still prey. Big cats hunted us. Bears hunted us. Wolves hunted us. We were food for many creatures. What changed? Felthar asked. We learned to fight back. We made weapons. We learned to work together. We discovered fire. Taeyang smiled grimly. And we learned to hunt everything that hunted us. We tracked down the predators. We killed them. We drove them away from our territories. Eventually, we became the apex predator, the thing at the top of the food chain. He showed images of extinct animals. Mammoths, saber-toothed cats, giant bears. We killed them all, not because we had to, but because they were threats, or because we wanted their territory, or simply because we could. That is horrible, Yuna whispered. That is nature, Taeyang replied. Red in tooth and claw, as one of our poets said. Earth taught us that only the strong survive. Only those willing to fight for survival will see tomorrow. Velthar felt cold. And your wars? When did you start fighting each other? We have always fought each other. Always. For territory, for resources, for beliefs, for pride. We have records of wars going back 10,000 years. But we fought long before we learned to write. How many wars? Etha asked. Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. Some lasted days. Some lasted years. Some lasted generations. Taeyang pulled up historical images. We developed weapons specifically designed to kill each other. Swords, spears, bows, guns, bombs, nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons? Velthar sat up straight. You developed world-ending weapons? Yes, and we used them. Twice in our Second World War. We killed hundreds of thousands of our own species with atomic fire. Taeyang's voice was flat, emotionless. We learned eventually. We stopped using them. But we still have them. Thousands of nuclear weapons ready to launch, a reminder of what we can do to each other. The command center was silent. Velthar felt sick. These humans were not just warriors. They were killers by nature, shaped by a world that punished weakness with death. Why are you telling us this? Etha asked quietly. You make your species sound like monsters. Because you need to understand what you have hired, Taeyang said. We are not heroes. We are survivors. Earth spent millions of years teaching us one lesson. Adapt or die. Kill or be killed. Survive at any cost, he stood up. The Vreks think they are apex predators. They think fear and numbers will win. But they evolved on a gentle world. They have never faced real competition. Real danger. He walked to the window, looking out at the battlefield. We come from a world where everything wants to kill you. Where nature itself is your enemy. Where survival means fighting every single day of your life. And that makes you better warriors? Feltar asked. It makes us understand war in our bones, Taeyang replied. For most species, war is an aberration. A terrible thing that happens sometimes. For humans, war is just another Tuesday. Another challenge to overcome. We have been at war with our planet, with nature, with each other. For our entire existence. This, he gestured at the battlefield. This is familiar. This is comfortable. This is what we know. A new voice spoke from the doorway. He is right. A young human woman entered. She wore a clean uniform, not combat armor. I am Jiyeon, Cultural Liaison Officer. I apologize for arriving late. I was organizing our historical data for the Coalition. More history? Velthar asked wearily. Context, Jiyeon corrected. She pulled up a holographic display. Taeyang told you about our evolution. Let me tell you about our culture. Images appeared, paintings, statues, carvings. Humans have created art for at least 40,000 years. And do you know what our oldest art shows? She highlighted several images. Hunting, warfare, violence. This is a cave painting from 30,000 years ago. It shows humans hunting mammoth. This is from 10,000 years ago. It shows a battle between tribes, more images. This is from Egypt 5,000 years ago. This is from Rome 2,000 years ago. This is from Japan 1,000 years ago, all showing war, battle, conquest. You celebrate death? Hitha asked, horrified. We honor survival, Jian replied. Every culture on Earth has warrior traditions. Songs about heroes, stories about battles. We teach our children about famous warriors. We build monuments to soldiers. We create holidays to remember wars. She pulled up more data. We have a concept called the warrior spirit. It exists in almost every human culture. The idea that a true person must be ready to fight, to protect, to survive. It is in our literature, our movies, our games, our language. This is madness, Velthar said. You glorify violence. We accept reality, Jian said calmly. Violence exists. Death exists. Danger exists. Pretending otherwise does not make them go away. So we prepare, we train. We teach our children to be strong, to be brave, to face danger instead of running from it. Specialist Wu Jin entered, carrying equipment. Apologies, I need to set up communication monitors. He noticed the meeting. Oh, are we explaining human history? Did you get to the fun part about how we domesticated wolves? Domesticated? Yuna looked confused. Wolves used to hunt us, Wu Jin explained while setting up his equipment. Big dangerous predators. So we caught some, bred them, tamed them. Now we call them dogs and they are our best friends. We took predators and turned them into pets. You can do that? Velthar asked. We can do anything if it helps us survive, Wu Jin said cheerfully. We domesticated cattle, horses, pigs, chickens, cats. If it was useful, we tamed it. If it was dangerous, we killed it or drove it away. That is the human way. Velthar looked at all the humans in the room, young and old, male and female. All different but all sharing something fundamental, a hardness, a readiness, an acceptance of violence as a tool. I have one question, Velthar said. If your world is so dangerous, if you have fought so much, why help us? Why risk your lives for strangers? Jinwu entered the command center. The command center buzzed with activity. Coalition and human officers stood around the tactical display, looking at the map of Tertius 9. Red markers showed Vrex positions. Blue markers showed their own forces. The Vrex are concentrated here. Jinwu pointed to a massive red cluster in the volcanic region. Our scouts confirm it. The queen is there in the main hive. Velthar studied the map. The volcanic region was a nightmare. Temperatures reached 90 degrees in some areas. Toxic gases vented from cracks in the ground. The terrain was unstable with sudden collapses and lava flows. Even the Vrex avoided the worst parts. We cannot attack there, Velthar said. It is too dangerous. We should draw them out, fight them on better ground. That could take months, Jinwu replied. And they will keep raiding our positions, no. We end this now. We go to the hive. Your soldiers will die in that heat, Etha protested. The toxic gases alone will make it uncomfortable, Jinwu interrupted. But not impossible. We have trained for environments like this. Trust me. Velthar wanted to argue, but he had learned to trust these humans. They had proven themselves repeatedly. How many soldiers will you commit? All of them. 200 humans plus however many coalition soldiers volunteer. Jinwu looked around the room. I will not order anyone to come with us. This will be hell, but if we succeed, the war ends today. Silence. Then a coalition officer, a young male named Kiro, stepped forward. I will go. Humans have shown us how to fight. Time we show them we can learn. Others joined. 20 coalition soldiers volunteered. It was not many, but Velthar felt proud of them anyway. We attack at dawn, Jinwu said. Get some rest. Tomorrow will be hard. That night, Velthar found Lieutenant Daehyun checking his equipment. The human officer looked tired but focused. Lieutenant, can I ask you something? Of course, Commander. Why do you do this? You could have refused this mission. You could have stayed on Earth safe. Why come here to die? Daehyun smiled. Who says we are going to die? He adjusted his weapon's sights. Commander, I am 41 years old. I have fought in 9 wars on Earth. Jungles, deserts, mountains, cities. I have lost friends. I have been wounded 4 times. And you know what I learned? What? Death is always there waiting. You cannot avoid it. You cannot hide from it, so you might as well face it on your own terms. He looked at Velthar. I chose to be a soldier. I chose to fight for things bigger than myself. That choice gives my life meaning. Makes death, if it comes, worth something. You are not afraid? I am terrified, Daehyun admitted. Fear keeps you alive. But I do not let it control me. Earth taught us that. Feel the fear, acknowledge it, then do what needs to be done anyway. Dawn came too quickly. The assault force assembled. 200 humans and 20 coalition volunteers. Against an estimated 50,000 Vrex in the hive. Velthar watched them march toward the volcanic region. They looked calm, ready. Some were joking with each other. Others were quiet, focused. But none looked like they were marching to their deaths. They are insane, Yuna whispered beside him. They are humans, Velthar replied. It is the same thing. The tactical feed showed the assault force entering the volcanic region. Immediately, temperatures spiked. The coalition volunteers struggled, their cooling systems working overtime. The humans just kept walking. Sergeant Minji, take your squad through the eastern approach, Jinwoo ordered. The heat is worse there, so the Vrex will not expect it. Minji's team disappeared into a canyon where the ground itself was glowing red with heat. The camera feeds showed them moving steadily through conditions that should have killed them instantly. How? Velthar demanded. How are they surviving? Thermal regulation, Yuna explained, checking her scanners. Their sweat is cooling them. Their blood is carrying heat away from vital organs. They are literally built to survive extreme heat. The Vrex noticed the intruders. Thousands of them poured out of tunnels, screeching their war cries. But the terrain limited them. They could not mass their numbers in the narrow volcanic passages. Heavy weapons, fire, Jinwoo commanded. Private Hyun and his team unleashed hell. Explosions ripped through the Vrex formations. The old soldier worked his weapons with practiced ease, each shot perfectly placed. Forward teams, advance. Do not let them regroup. Lieutenant Daehyun led the assault. His squad moved through the chaos like ghosts, appearing to strike and then vanishing into the smoke and heat. Coalition volunteers fought beside them, inspired by human courage. They are breaking through, Etha reported. They are actually reaching the hive. But the hive was defended by the Queen's elite guard. Massive Vrex, twice the size of normal warriors, armored and deadly. They charged the humans in a compact formation. Mines, Woojin shouted. Explosions erupted beneath the elite guard. The massive Vrex fell, wounded or dead. The humans pressed forward, firing constantly, moving like a machine that would not stop. Corporal Taeyang found a side tunnel. Colonel, I have a path to the Queen's chamber. Lightly defended. Take it, Jinwoo ordered. Minji, follow him. Everyone else keep the pressure on the main force. Taeyang and Minji's squads disappeared into the tunnel. The camera feeds went dark as they moved deeper into the hive. Velthar watched the main battle, his heart's pounding. The humans were holding. Despite the heat, the toxic air, the endless waves of Vrex, they were holding. Then Minji's voice crackled over the radio. We have the Queen in sight. She is big, really big. How big? Jinwoo asked. 10 meters long, maybe 5 meters tall. Heavily armored. And angry. Can you take her? A pause, then Minji laughed. Colonel, we came all this way. We are not leaving without finishing the job. The feed from Minji's helmet camera came online. Velthar saw the Queen. She was massive, ancient, her carapace scarred from countless battles. She roared, a sound that shook the very walls. Spread out, Taeyang ordered. Hit her from multiple angles. Aim for the joints. The humans moved with perfect coordination. They fired at the Queen's legs, her head, her underbelly. She was incredibly tough, their bullets barely penetrating her armor. But the humans kept firing, kept moving, kept fighting. She is too strong, a coalition volunteer yelled. Then we make her weak. Hyun's voice came over the radio. I am coming in. Clear the chamber. Hyun, what are you doing? Jinwoo demanded. Something stupid. Tell my daughter I love her. The old soldier appeared on the camera feed, running into the chamber carrying a massive explosive charge. The Queen turned to face him. Hyun smiled. Hey, ugly! You want me? Come get me. He ran toward a support pillar. The Queen charged after him, her massive bulk shaking the ground. At the last second, Hyun dove aside. The Queen crashed into the pillar. Hyun activated the charge. Fire in the hole! The explosion was massive. The pillar collapsed. The ceiling began to crack. The Queen screamed as tons of rock fell on her, crushing her massive body. Hyun! Minji screamed. Hyun, respond. Silence. Then from beneath the rubble, a voice. Ow, that hurt. The old soldier crawled out from behind a boulder. He was covered in dust and blood, but he was alive. Did we get her? The Queen lay crushed beneath the collapsed ceiling. Her body broken, her reign ended. The Vrex throughout the hive suddenly stopped fighting. Without their Queen, they had no direction, no purpose. They scattered, fleeing into the depths. Hive is ours, Jinwoo reported. All teams secure the area. Medical teams, we have wounded. The battle was over. The war was over. The humans had done the impossible. Belthar met them as they returned from the hive. They looked terrible, burned, bleeding, exhausted, but they were alive. All of them. Even Hyun, who should have died in the explosion, walked out on his own feet. How? Velthar asked. How did you survive all that? Stubbornness, Hyun replied, grinning through the pain. And good luck. And good training, Minji added. She had a deep cut across her shoulder but was joking with her squad. Earth standard training. Nothing here was worse than what we faced back home. The coalition volunteers stumbled out of the hive, supported by human soldiers. They looked shell-shocked but proud. They had fought beside humans and survived. 3 days later, the coalition council held a formal ceremony. Belthar stood with Jinwoo and his officers, watching as the council leader, an ancient being from a water world, spoke. Today, we recognize the bravery and skill of the human warriors who saved Tertius 9. We offer humanity full membership in the Galactic Coalition. We offer friendship, alliance, and trade. We offer our eternal gratitude, Jinwoo bowed. We accept on behalf of Earth. The ceremony ended. As they walked out, Etha joined Velthar. The council is worried, she said quietly. About what? About what comes next. Jinwoo said these soldiers were considered old by Earth standards. Past their prime. If these are their old soldiers, what are the young ones like? Belthar thought about that. He thought about humans who were faster, stronger, more aggressive than the veterans who had just won their war. The galaxy is going to change, he said finally. Other species will hear about Earth, about humans. Some will be afraid. Some will be angry. Some will challenge us. And what will happen then? Etha asked. Before Velthar could answer, he heard laughter. Young coalition recruits were training with human soldiers. Sora was teaching them first aid. Taiyang was showing them how to move through difficult terrain. Woojin was explaining communication protocols.